People are coming from everywhere in the country. That's the airport. This is the new terminal. This terminal is not operational yet. So the terminal where Mr. Rahman is going to land is after this building.
After 17 years in exile and ahead of the crucial elections that will be held in Bangladesh in February next year, Tarique Rahman, the acting chairperson of the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, is returning to Dhaka today. We have with us Dr. Ziauddin Hyder, the advisor to the acting BNP chairperson. Thank you so much for joining us at the week. So I believe you're just, minutes away, or I would say, very close to Tariq's return to Dhaka. Not just BNP, but of course, the people of Bangladesh are looking forward to this moment. They're also looking forward to the election process kicking off once Tariq is back in his country. How do you see the return at this juncture, and what really prompted him to finally, overcome the security concerns, and the BNP was able to convince him to return?
I guess one of the happiest day for all Bangladeshis post 1971. This is remarkable. If you come to Dhaka, you will see, people and people everywhere. It's like tsunami of, men and women flooding the streets of Dhaka city, starting from the airport. Mr. Tariq Rahman is returning home after long 6,314 days, 17 years. And right now, his plane is, I think, transiting at Silat Usmani Airport, and soon he will be landing in Dhaka. I'm in a hotel right close to the airport, by the side of the main road that's connecting airport and Dhaka city. I am unable to show you from my room, but streets are full of people, very organized. They have come from all over the country, trains full of people, buses full of people, launches full of people, private transports, cars full of people. It's unprecedented scene that one can witness in Dhaka and surrounding areas. So, yes, we are eagerly waiting for our leader to return along with his family, his daughter, Barrister Jaimur Rahman, and his wife, Dr. Zubaida Rahman. It has been a long battle, for our leader to return. There has been so many conspiracies, here inside the country, outside, a lot of security concerns. But finally, I think the good day is today. We can see him. Momentarily we'll be seeing him coming out of the plane, and he will be greeting millions of people. We call 300 feet Shorop. It's a place close to her mother's hospital. So on his way from airport to his mother's hospital, Evercare Hospital, he will be stopping by, few minutes just to greet this wave of people, millions of people coming from all over the country, and everybody is waiting for that.
You speak of Begum Khaleda Zia's health. If I may ask, how is her health at this juncture? And are we really seeing a lot of concern there amongst Bangladeshis regarding her health? Also coming, around the time when Tariq has to really get on full steam with the election campaign and the process, and a lot of his time would be, he would be occupied with people and, of course, with the issues. But at this juncture, he'd really not have his mother advising him, guiding him because of her health concerns.
Madam Khaleda Zia's health has remained fragile. You know that she became terribly sick during her imprisonment days because of isolation, lack of care, lack of medicine, proper diet, and everything. So she has been suffering from multiple organ dysfunction. It's not an easy task, but our doctors, all from Bangladesh, they have been showing miracle, and that has been acknowledged by medical teams coming from around the world. Even when Begum Jia was taken to London, the Beach Hospital, the medical team there, they really acknowledged and appreciated the efforts of that put together by our fellow Bangladeshi doctors. Good thing, although a week or a couple of weeks back, her health was terribly bad, but since then she has been improving. Her health is much improved. But I wouldn't say she has recovered. I think her health remains fragile. I'm sure she will have a psychological boost after seeing her eldest son after so many days, years, returning home. She's going to have a psychological boost. And we hope, she will be running for the election, and we hope she will be very active in her own campaign, also campaign for the rest of the party. One thing I would like to note that, as everybody knows, Begum Khaleda Zia is right now not only leader of BNP, she has pushed herself far beyond that. She's leader of everyone. She's our political national guardian. And hopefully, during this upcoming recent election, we'll be able to all the entire country will be able to have her guidance and blessing, not only her son, but I'm sure the entire country will benefit from her guidance and her, thoughtful ideas. Thank you.
You talk of Tariq meeting people, right now on his way, he'd be, greeting his supporters. We are also looking at the campaign of the BNP. So once the campaign is launched, are we already seeing rallies and the politically charged atmosphere in Bangladesh right now? So of course, other than him addressing, people who would be waiting to listen to him, are we also looking at social reforms and a certain different way that the BNP would approach the issues, of people? And you talk of the reform agenda. How do you plan to take it out and address the issues right now, whether it's the economic situation, whether it's jobs and other concerns of people, whether it's healthcare? So, how do you roll out your election campaign?
The entire country is on the election train. The train has begun to move. A lot of conspiracies and noises here and there, but especially after today, with Tarique Rahman's return and people's wave, and the campaign wave, I believe, and many people believe that the conspiracy will basically fade away. Election train is going to have more speedy movement. For the first time in Bangladesh's political culture, political history, BNP has put together a very different campaign plan. In the past, the campaign was dominated by political rhetorics, empty promises and talks, and maligning your opposition, so on and so forth. But this time, Mr. Tarique Rahman, he has been thinking about this country for many years, and he has come up with number of social reform ideas. All these ideas were articulated within the 31-point state repair agenda, but at one point he decided to, flesh them out far better so that people can understand, if they elect BNP to run the country, what's going to happen in their healthcare, what's going to happen in their children's education, what's going to happen in the climate change environment agenda of the country, what's going to happen for millions of youths, unemployed youths' life, what's going to happen to the life of, the religious leaders like khatibs, imams, muezzins, and leaders from other religion too. What's going to happen in agriculture? How farmers' life going to be improved, how the country is going to achieve more self-sufficiency in food and growth in agricultural sector. So he basically formed multiple expert teams for each of the areas that I mentioned. He formed expert teams, professionals who are skilled, who have experience on the field, who has experience making policies, not just within the country, also beyond Bangladesh, within the diaspora community. He kind of headhunted all the professionals who have been working very hard over the last 1 year or so, and now they have come up with detailed plan for each of these sectors, like health, what Bangladesh will do and how, those programs will be implemented is what and how both. That includes sources of funding, human resource experts to implement programs, institutional, arrangement to implement reform-oriented programs. So a detailed plan have been prepared for, each and every area I mentioned. Is basically 8 key areas of social reform. Now, what we have done, we have kind of come up with just very simple, easy to understand leaflet, say one leaflet for each sector. For example, for education, we have one leaflet, where it's a colorful leaflet, easy to understand, and all the points written there, it's very easy to communicate to people that if BNP is elected to, run the country, what kind of major reforms we are looking into in education sector that is immediately going to benefit, our children. For example, in education sector, BNP has been advocating for need-based education, introducing need-based education. BNP has been telling that our education system is completely disconnected from industries and market. As a result, the system gives certificates to our young youths, not skill. So how do we kind of do a paradigm shift from certificate-oriented education to skills-oriented education so that the market can absorb the new graduates immediately? Market not only in Bangladesh, but also outside Bangladesh. So this is just one small example, it's an education sector, subsector kind of reform that BNP has been thinking. So we had in this month of December, starting from the beginning of month until actually yesterday, we've been organizing series of training workshops for our party workers coming from different level, because we want to equip them with new knowledge that what their party has been thinking to change people's life, so that when they go to campaign, and as I told you, that for the first time in political history, we are going to, put development policies, social policies into the epicenter of our campaign. So our party workers, we train them. We also train the candidates themselves. They need to know what their party can add to people's life in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of employment, in terms of environment, in terms of agriculture. There's a very popular one we call family card, women's empowerment. So each adult woman or woman head of family will receive a card, an electronic card. And with this family card, the woman or the household can access 2,000 to 2,500 taka equivalent essential food items every month. And that's how the woman can save this amount of money that she was supposed to spend on food. Now she can save. And if she can save for 1 or 2 years, she can say save maybe 50,000 taka. And with this seed money, she can start some small business or other small enterprises that can, change her life, that can make her more self-reliant, change her life. And we are telling now that back in early 90s, Begum Khaleda Zia under BNP government introduced an education program called Food for Education or Cash for Education that made a tremendous impact on educating women. Now we are saying that she educated women, and Mr. Tarique Rahman is going to make women self-reliant. So this is the type of thing that we've been kind of telling our party workers through series of workshops, consultations, so that they can become more effective, campaigner and door-to-door campaigner. By the way, another change in our political culture. This time, we are not really popularizing large processions or large gatherings. Instead, our workers should go door to door, uh, you know, uh, communicate with people, men and women, the voters, especially the young voters, women voters, and tell them how BNP can change their life and change, add value to the different dimensions of their life, also of their community's life and the country's life.
You talk of door-to-door campaigns, and how soon are we going to see Tariq really going out of Dhaka and visiting other districts and addressing people's issues, in rural areas, for example? When would that process start? How soon?
Pretty soon. Pretty soon, we have a PR team, public relations team, and campaign design team, all in place, and they have been working together. While our political team, they are finalizing the campaign plan from political angle. Perhaps going different parts of the country. Um, there are teams also working to design different type of gatherings. For example, we want our leader to visit school with people with disability. We want our leader to visit an elderly home. We want our leader to visit, for example, a group of garments worker. We want a leader to visit, for example, a village, predominantly fisherman village. These are just, we want our leader to visit perhaps a village where almost 100% women are involved in weaving, making shari. The purpose is, in addition to the political campaign, these are so important for people. People would like to know, especially the marginalized one, women, artisans like weaving, they are in crisis because of lack of sponsorship from the state. So we want to send different type of message to people in Bangladesh and abroad that BNP, wants to bring in modern culture into the politics. We want to kind of introduce politics that is appropriate for an independent country that never actually happened in Bangladesh. We've been going through a lot of political turmoil and rhetorics and everything, but we want to actually looking forward to a modern Bangladesh, to a forward-looking Bangladesh, to a growth-oriented Bangladesh, and for that matter, we need to engage with. We have to be inclusive, and we need to engage with all sorts of professionals, all sorts of type of population in the country, and we need to energize them so that all of them can work together to achieve the common goal, which is a prosperous modern Bangladesh. And we name it Shobar Age Bangladesh. That's our main political slogan, Shobar Age Bangladesh, Bangladesh first. And where we want to build a country where Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, Christians, people from the plain, people from the mountains, everybody will live in harmony. It's a rainbow nation. That's what we've been dreaming for many years, but now we'll make it happen.
What also is really significant is your, equation with India. We see a lot of uh, anger and violence on the streets where the anti-India sentiment is really dominating at this juncture. How do you assess that? And we've seen anti-India sentiment across change of regimes in Bangladesh whenever elections are held. However, when governance issues do become important and parties are in place and your election process is complete, uh, that governance model will require equal amount of focus on relations with your neighboring countries, especially India? How do you see that playing out at this junction? What are the concerns?
Personally, uh, I I kind of look at it from another perspective. The sentiment in our country, it was actually anti-fascism. It was anti-Hasina and her mafia network. And most people equated Hasina's fascist network with India. And the reason, I think I know that um, there is a common understanding that India has been providing blank check to for Hasina to survive, to sustain, her fascist regime. And I guess that's the major reason why the majority of the Bangladeshi people, um, you guys think that anti-Indians, but again, it's not really anti-Indian, it's anti-fascism, and our people, they look at India being blind supporter of that fascist regime. But 5th August has changed everything. That regime is over. And I think we need to also work on our, you know, uh, own mindset. India and Bangladesh, they are closest neighbors. Indeed, India supported the War of Liberation in 1971. We worked together. We share so many things in common. But as our leader, Tarique Rahman, said during his interview with BBC, that Bangladesh doesn't want to see any more Filanis, no more border killing. We don't want to see a part of Bangladesh being desertified because the water is not rightly shared. So we want to kind of conclude all those issues, of course, through uh, good relationship, through diplomatic ties, through negotiations, and building a modern Bangladesh, future-looking, growth-oriented Bangladesh. We have to maintain connectivity. The regional connectivity is very important, not only in India, but we have Nepal, we have Bhutan, we have Myanmar. All the neighbors, have to work together on many issues because there are many shared interests and shared issues. Uh, so I guess in future we are looking at a very balanced foreign relationship where everybody's interest will be protected, everybody's respect will be protected, everybody's right will be protected. So that's the type of policy I think will be pursuing forward in future.
And given the political violence that we are witnessing in Bangladesh, there is concern about security, safety of the minority community. How is the BNP really looking at addressing that concern immediately?
It's another bubble that we've been seeing in Bangladesh. Every time puja comes, this minority issue comes up. Anytime election comes, this minority issue comes up, and there are reasons to believe that that narrative and those some sporadic incidents are caused, by uh, groups with vested interest. But I don't think that interest group exists in Bangladesh anymore. And as a result, in the past Durga Puja, there was no single event of violence. Now, Hindus, Muslims, Buddha, Christian, I think everyone is cohabiting. They feel safe, no complaints. And during this campaign, I personally saw massive participation already by our religious minority communities. They are also excited to build a new Bangladesh. So we have to move forward. We cannot just look back and we cannot judge based on what happened in the past. But the past was full of, mismanagement. It was full of conspiracy and full of negative politics. So we have to come out of negative politics. We have to put all the development agenda in front of people. We have to tell them, what exactly we are going to do and how we are going to do to change their lives, their health, education, productive agriculture, climate, the air quality, so on and so forth. So I think people are now charged up and they are really looking forward to kind of join the rally of building a new Bangladesh.
As you talk of the foreign policy, you mentioned Hasina's exile in India. Of course, that concern still remains, but BNP's foreign policy, we've seen in the past whenever there have been concerns, whether it's Ziaur Rahman's tenure, or we've seen Khaleda Zia coming to power in the early 90s. We do see a lot of measures that have also been taken by both countries to take this relationship forward, whether it's the Faraka Treaty or other issues where more engagement and issues like trade imbalance were addressed. Do you see another ray of hope while having the
You're going to see
Hasina
the similar trend.
being able to handle
You're going to
your
see the similar. You're going to see the similar trend that you saw during Shoaib President Ziaur Rahman's, 3.5 year. He always wanted to build good relationships with neighbors. That's why he pioneered the mobilization of SAARC, the South Asian, all the countries. He wanted to have this forum, which can serve as an excellent platform to build regional connectivity, to, build trade relationships, to build relationships around tourism, education, agriculture, climate. There's so many common issues that we have to work together. We cannot just live alone in this modern world, in this technology-driven world. We have to live together. All we need is to build more trust and the environment of respect and environment of protecting people's right.
while I refer to the time when the BNP was in opposition and India still continued to have engagement both with the ruling dispensation as well as the opposition, especially when Khaleda Zia was there. How do you see now engagement with India, with whoever would be the ruling party, and also whoever will be sitting in the opposition?
We don't know who are going to be in the opposition or who are going to rule with the ruling party. All depends on the people of Bangladesh. We believe in people's voting right. But of course, as a party, we strongly believe that, and also all the polls and surveys show that BNP is going to have a landslide victory. Opposition, I think, is we have to wait because so many polarization is happening within Jamaat Islami and all the Islamic, fronts. Some are with having good relationship and discussion with BNP. The NCP, the new party, they are, I think, a new boy in the block. So many things yet to see how they're going to roll out their strategy, partnerships, and everything. So we are hoping that there will be a vibrant parliament. And of course, you know that there will be a referendum, ha, na, yes, no vote, along with the national election. So, and BNP is a reform-oriented party. We believe in reforms. And if you look at our 31 state repair agenda, it's all full of reforms. All the commissions that have been, formed by Professor Yunus and his government, we already said it. Tarique Rahman already said them back in 2022 into this 31 point. So the referendum remains important, and we're really looking forward to work with everyone, who's going to win the election and come into parliament, to implement all the reforms in the country to make sure we never go back into the dark past. And instead, we move forward and we build a new and forward-looking, growth-oriented Bangladesh.
Professor Mohammed Yunus has also expressed, he's completely assured that elections will be held in February. However, we see political violence increasing, and there have been calls by certain groups, if the elections are not inclusive and participatory, there could be more violence in coming months. Do you see the process getting delayed at some stage, or do you see Bangladesh really heading towards the February 12th deadline?
I don't doubt Professor Yunus's goodwill and his promises. I have no doubt. he's a respectable person to me, to Bangladesh, to everybody in the world. So I'm sure he's going to keep his promise. The country is, as I said, has already boarded onto the election train. It's moving. With time, it will just gain more and more speed. So as soon as the country, all the campaign begins at each and every village, I can tell you that with our BNP, all the nominees, when the start the campaign in full swing, I think the campaign waves, the campaign tsunami will remove all the confusion. I'm a very optimistic person. We'll remove all the confusion. The country can get rid of all the uh, you know, uh, all the violences or the plots to prevent people, moving towards a peaceful election. I think all of them will be removed as soon as the full-blown campaign begins, and with the arrival of our leader, Mr. Tarique Rahman, and his campaign tour is going to change everything. It's going to change the landscape. It's going to make it better and better towards February election.
My last question to you is, we are, of course, going to see a very changed Bangladesh in coming days and months, with Tariq now being in Dhaka and leading the campaign up to the crucial election date. And henceforth, as we see the election process rolling out, uh, the BNP itself will have much more responsibility, whichever side the election outcomes are. So, given that, what would be your first foreign policy approach towards India as a party? Have you thought about that? And does Tariq really have a vision to take this relationship forward?
I'm sure he will. And when you wake up in the morning and see your neighbor, you just wave your hand with good smile. So I think we are neighbors, and we have to repair few trust issues for sure. But otherwise, as a country, at least I can talk on behalf of Bangladesh, that we have all the willingness to work with our neighbor to make sure we rebuild our trust, we rebuild our environment of protecting each other's interest. There are many unresolved issues. I'm sure, with willingness and trust and engagement, all the past issues can be uh, repaired so that we can move as a prosperous region in South Asia.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ziauddin Hyder. Thank you so much for joining us. And we hope to take this engagement forward and have more discussions with you in coming days.